My name is Funton Daniel. I'm speaking here from the great state of Texas here in the United States. I want to bring this attention to the United States Congress, the U.S. government, and the U.S. State Department, U.S. Department of Defense, and the world in particular, also including Emmanuel Macron. And this my message is more specifically geared towards the IMF, the World Bank. It is very, very essential, very crucial in this moment of crisis where we are experiencing a pandemic virus that is disturbing, rocking around the world, killing people indiscriminately without mercy. But however, my greatest concern and many concerns that all of us share, especially in the era of African with Africans and uncertainty about the government that represent us in Africa. And I am more specifically to the government of La République du Cameroon. I know the IMF is doing a good job by helping those in need. But in a time of crisis, people need help, which is no doubt about it. But however, in a government where accountability, non-existence, accountability is not flourishing, and those whom the people look upon them to help them are non-existent. I remember that the U.S. Department of Defense closed all military assistance to La République du Cameroon, and it's basically certain because of lack of accountability, lack of trust, lack of leadership, and lack of an elected officials that represent the aspiration of the people. IMF is not exception. IMF is aware of this chronic regime in La République du Cameroon led by Paul Biya that has been in power for close to 37 years without without any meaningful and elected representative. There is forgery in every election to which La République Paul Biya stand at the helm of that enterprise, without a meaningful regard to the citizens' right to elect their own people and their own officials to represent them and make a meaningful decisions on their behalf. In the questions, no doubt about it, IMF has recently disbursed 135 billion CFA, which approximately equivalent to 235 million US dollar to that government to carry on war against its citizens rather than the treatment in which it intended to. La République has not been. United States can testify on behalf of their own experience that the military equipment that was given to La République to take over, to fight against the Boko Haram that is rocking the northern state of La République du Cameroon. Instead, those military equipment were immediately converted to southern Cameroon that are fighting for unjust government, unjust society that doesn't meet the aspiration of the people. And this concern has raised serious regard about the potential of this La République regime. Professor Maurice Kamto was elected and yet has not yet been sworn in because he was deprived with a stewardship appointed Chief Justice that immediately proclaimed Paul Biya regime. In a government where justice does not prevail, accountability doesn't prevail. In this society, IMF just disbursed 135 billion CFA war equipment to use against the people of Southern Cameroon. China, for example, sent its military equipment, that is what they used by La République du Cameroon, to destabilize the loving people of Southern Cameroon. Remember that the people of Southern Cameroon was never a conquered nor a colonial territory of La République. They simply questioned the narratives of La République du Cameroon to claim over the ownership of Southern Cameroon without meaningful disregard the rule of law, the people's right, and the right to exist as a people. And the world simply doesn't acknowledge these facts. Remember that Article 1608 of the United Nations that voted in 1961 recognized the people of Southern Cameroon on the basis and the fundamental principles in which they must function with La République du Cameroon. La République has downgraded that vote in which United States participate in the elections. United States vote in 1961 in that particular article that I am referring to. Article 1514 of XV of the Decolonization Act has never been fully respected, in which the world recognized that it is a valid. And yet we, the sons and daughters that we are all scattered around the world, are beginning to question these narratives that the world decided not to ignore. And IMF, without no doubt about it, just disbursed 135 billion CFA wallet supply equipment to La République du Cameroon, which is equivalent to 234 million US dollar. And that is a large sum of money. And to a people that has no accountability, that forgerily lying about itself. Recently, La République du Cameroon announced acceptance. The massacre that about 28 of 30-something children were massacred by the military in Gebo. But yet, they denied the narratives that they were not involved in it. And yet, after pressure from around the world, including United States, Great Britain, France, they forcefully agree in those narratives. And if we had chosen that La République decide to manage 135 billion war equipment by IMF to fund La République, and a government that has no accountability, no respect of social norms, no respect of social order, then we are heading to a collision. I think the IMF is heading to a collision. Fellow world community, I am speaking about the truth. Well, it is the time that we stand for humanity and respect human dignity than just funding government that has no repercussion to the free society and doesn't represent them at all. And this is Fundon Daniel speaking on the IMF 14 billion loan to war equipment for La République to carry on against the people of Southern Cameroon. Fellow citizens of Southern Cameroon, let's wake up and stand for IMF against African right and right to privilege to exist as people. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day for listening.